Today is the 3rd anniversary of my mother's passing, and Ava stood me up. She had clearly promised me that she would accompany me to visit my mother this time, but on this day, William happened to return to the country. Ava was eager to go and welcome him back. I pleaded with her, "We're getting married soon, and you promised me that you would meet my mother." Ava flung my hand away and said impatiently, "Your mother is buried there. It's the same whenever you go to see her. All my friends are already there, waiting just for me. Can you stop being unreasonable?" She left me halfway up the mountain and drove away. It started to rain, and I arrived at my mother's grave covered in mud. Looking at her kind smile, my heart ached sharply. 3 years ago, before she passed away, she held my hand and apologized, saying that she couldn't give me a complete family. After my mother passed away, I was depressed all day long until I met Ava. She once said that she would give me a warm home, but today, she abandoned me for someone else. When I came down from the mountain, it was already dark. Because I had been sitting in the rain for too long, I started to have a high fever. I wanted to call Ava and tell her, but she sent me a message first. "He was just joking. Don't take it to heart." I was a bit confused, but then I saw that William had updated his WeChat moments. She said to me, "Welcome home." The attached picture was of Ava hugging him while holding a bouquet of roses. Friends in the comments section were all touched. "Wow! Childhood sweethearts are so adorable. I'm always touched by the family-like bond between you two." At that moment, even though I was burning with fever all over, my heart gradually turned cold. "Ava, if he is your family, then what am I to you? I've lost count of how many times Ava has abandoned me to go to him. Last Christmas, she flew to the UK to find William and accompanied him to watch the fireworks in Edinburgh. When I angrily questioned her, she instead blamed me for being narrow-minded, saying that it was a trip with several friends, not just the two of them. That was the first time we got into a Cold War. Until the Chinese New Year's Eve a month later, she sent me 2 movie tickets. It was a romantic film during the Spring Festival season. I instantly forgave her and happily accepted the invitation. Every time we quarreled or had a Cold War because of William, as long as she gave me a way out, I would always forget the previous unpleasantness and completely regain my enthusiasm for her. We've been like this for the 3 years we've been together. My joys and sorrows were all in her control. Even if she made a mistake, as long as she found a way to break the ice, would forgive her. Then, at the happiest moment for me, she would be as proud as a kitten and say, "Do you know what you did wrong?" Not wanting to spoil the atmosphere, would always nod indulgently and say, "I know. It's my fault. It's my fault for being so spineless." I thought this was a compromise out of love, but I didn't expect it to be indulgence. I liked William's WeChat Moments post, and then I posted a photo I took at my mother's grave today, with the caption, "Mom, happy anniversary of your passing. I'm sorry, Mom. Every time I promised to bring my daughter-in-law to see you, I broke my promise. I won't do it again in the future. Ava won't be your daughter-in-law anymore." I was so dizzy from the fever that I finally couldn't hold on and fell asleep. The next day, Ava still didn't come back. However, many of my friends liked my post. The WeChat Moments post that William made last night had already been deleted. He should have realized that it didn't look good. If he had kept it, everyone would have seen that Ava didn't accompany me to pay respects to my mother but went to welcome him back instead. Maybe Ava didn't want to come home because she was angry. However, I didn't care anymore. In the following days, I went about my life and work as usual. Without Ava, I actually slept more soundly. I also realized that life could be so colorful, and I didn't have to revolve around her at all. Before getting off work, my colleagues were discussing going for barbecues. When they were counting the number of people, I raised my hand to sign up. They looked at me in surprise and asked if I didn't need to go home and have dinner with my girlfriend today. I said calmly that I didn't need to, and we were going to break up soon. My colleagues looked at each other and quickly changed the topic. That night, I realized that my colleagues, who were serious and earnest at work, all had a lovely side in private. Chatting and drinking with them was the most relaxing time I had in the past 6 months. When I got home, it was already 11 p.m., and the light in the living room was on. Ava was sitting on the sofa, looking at me coldly. "Where have you been? Why didn't you reply to my message?" I took out my phone and then realized that she had sent me a message. "I'll be home for dinner tonight." If it had been before, when I received this message during a Cold War, I would have been so happy and replied with an okay. Then I would have wished I could get off work early and go back to cook her favorite dishes. But today, I didn't even notice the olive branch she extended. "Sorry, I didn't see your message. I had dinner with my colleagues tonight. I replied indifferently, changed into my slippers, and walked inside. James. Ava stopped me. I'm sorry about yesterday. I'll accompany you to visit your aunt again this weekend. No need. It's been raining recently, and the mountain road is not easy to walk on. I refused her and picked up my change of clothes to go to the bathroom. Ava blocked my way. Did you drink alcohol? She frowned unhappily, and I shook my head. No, I took antipyretics last night and couldn't drink. It was them who drank. Ah, I didn't know you had a fever. Why didn't you tell me? Ava looked worried and reached out to touch my forehead. I gently pushed her hand away. It's a small thing. I'm already better. When I came out after taking a shower, Ava stood outside looking wronged. James. I looked at her in confusion. I've been waiting for you, and I haven't had dinner yet. Oh, then order whatever you want for takeout. Instead of putting aside what I was doing to cook for her as I used to, I yawned and went back to the bedroom. There was a loud bang from outside. When I went out to take a look, there were broken pieces of a cup on the floor. Ava had already left. She was angry. Clearly, this time she took the initiative to offer an olive branch, but I didn't take it. That night, I saw her WeChat Moments post. My stomach hurts from hunger. Fortunately, you treated me to dinner. In the photo, she was snuggled up next to William, holding up a fork and smiling brightly. This was the first time she took the initiative to post something intimate. I guess she did it to make me angry. But she was wrong. I wasn't angry, and I wouldn't be jealous for her anymore. Ava started another Cold War with me. In the past, every time we had a Cold War, at most it would last a week, and then I would surrender and take the initiative to find her. But now, I didn't care about it at all. Instead, I began to enjoy my life. At work, I no longer slowed down my pace because I was thinking about her, and my efficiency was surprisingly high. After work, I went to have dinner and drink and chat with several colleagues. When we talked about our respective ideals, I suddenly felt a bit guilty. For the past 3 years, I only had one ideal, which was to build a home of my own with Ava. I would take good care of her and love her. But later, I was slapped in the face time and time again and realized how ridiculous this ideal was. My ideal is to make every day without any regrets. I took a sip of wine and said seriously. My colleagues all gave me a thumbs up and praised me for being insightful. I smiled bitterly in my heart. This insight was something I had gained with 3 years of effort, and it was all tears. Maybe my recent work attitude had influenced others, and they all became more hardworking. At the meeting, the boss proposed the idea of establishing a new branch in Haishur and asked who was willing to go. My colleagues were all a bit silent. After all, their families were all here. Only I stood up and recommended myself. I'm willing to open up new territory for the company and be a pioneer. 3 years had passed, and all my memories of this city were related to Ava. Since I had decided to let her go, I had to take a brave step forward. On the weekend, I flew to Haishur to conduct an inspection in advance. After getting off the plane, I received a message from Ava. Where have you gone? Today is the weekend. Why aren't you at home? Oh, I'm on a business trip in Haishur. I replied truthfully, but she was a bit angry. Why didn't you tell me? I suddenly felt a bit baffled. Once, I liked to share all kinds of daily life, my itinerary, and what I was doing with her every day. But she rarely responded to me and never took these things to heart. A year ago, I was on a business trip for a week and sent her a message saying that I missed her so much. But then I found that I had been blocked by her. Looking at the red exclamation mark, I couldn't figure out why. It wasn't until I got home and angrily questioned her that Ava said nonchalantly, "Oh, I thought you were having another Cold War with me because of jealousy and had run away. Who told you not to make it clear that you were just on a business trip?" I took out the chat records and pointed them out to her. "I clearly told you half a month ago." She was stunned for a moment and then said even more impatiently, "You talk so much nonsense to me every day. How can I remember it all?" Once someone said that the desire to share is the highest level of enthusiasm between lovers. But I never expected that my desire to share would be a burden to her. Now, I don't share my own affairs with her anymore. Why is she unhappy instead? I looked at my phone calmly and typed a few words. Forgot. Soon, it showed that the other person was typing, but I lost the patience to keep looking. I raised my hand and set her to do not disturb. A few days later, when I came back, I saw Ava as soon as I got out of the airport. When she saw me come out, her eyes lit up and she waved at me. My first reaction was confusion. Why was she here to pick me up? I took out my phone and found that she had sent me a message a few days ago. Your birthday is in a few days, and I want to celebrate it for you. I'll come to pick you up then. This was a rare occasion when she showed kindness and bowed to me. But my heart was completely calm. I dragged my suitcase over and asked her, "Why are you here?" "I asked your colleague. He said you were coming back today, so I came to pick you up." I nodded and didn't say anything more. I put my luggage in the trunk. At this time, it was very difficult to get a taxi. Besides, I should go back and sort out my things. When I opened the door of the passenger seat, a face came up with a smile. Surprise! William smiled and thrust a bouquet of flowers in my face. "Happy birthday! These flowers were bought for you by Ava." I accompanied her to pick them for a long time. I just felt a lump in my throat, my eyes were itchy, and it was a bit difficult to breathe. I slapped the flowers away, took a few steps back, and started gasping for air. I'm allergic to pollen, and Ava knew that. But she didn't remember. She rushed over and accused me, "James, why did you knock away the flowers I bought?" William looked at the flowers that had fallen to the ground, his eyes turned red, and he said aggrievedly, "Ava, doesn't brother James like me?" Ava turned around and comforted him a few words before she noticed that my skin was starting to turn red and swollen, and I was crying, sneezing. Then she seemed to remember something. She quickly found a pill from the car, fed it to me, and threw the bouquet of flowers into a trash can in the distance. "Sorry, James. William didn't know you were allergic to pollen." She apologized but didn't mention at all that she had forgotten about my allergy. I waved my hand, opened the door of the back seat, and sat down. Through the rearview mirror, Ava observed my expression from time to time. Just now, she wanted to send William to the back seat, but I refused. Once, I found a men's mouth spray in the passenger seat, with the words, "Kissing Magic," written on it. The only person who could put things in Ava's car was William. I had a quarrel with her, but she said it was just a passenger seat. What was wrong with letting a friend sit there? She regarded William as her younger brother, and I was the one who was thinking inappropriately. Now, I found that it was not bad to sit in the back seat. At least I didn't have to be affected by the two of them anymore, and I could close my eyes and rest for a while. Maybe I was tired from running around in the past 2 days, and I soon fell asleep. I don't know how long it had passed, but I was gently woken up by Ava. She parked the car in front of a hot pot restaurant. "I remember you love eating hot pot the most. You probably haven't eaten spicy food for several days during this trip to Haishur, right?" She asked me with a smile, thinking she was being considerate and gentle. But she forgot that it wasn't me who liked eating hot pot, but herself. When we first got together 3 years ago, I couldn't eat any spicy food at all. But because she especially liked the beef tallow hot pot, I forced myself to eat it too and gradually learned to tolerate a little spiciness. After going in, I found that all her friends were there. To be exact, they were her and William's friends. "The birthday boy is finally here. I heard that you threw the flowers that William carefully selected into the trash can. You really have a big temper." Ava's best friend taunted me. Since we got together, she has never been optimistic about me. Instead, she always liked and commented on William's WeChat moments, praising that he and Ava were a good match. In the past 3 years, Ava and I have had many quarrels because of her fanning the flames. There was also her instigation when Ava left me to find William. In her eyes, I was the third person who was interfering in someone else's happiness. If it had been before, I would have turned around and left without hesitation, disdaining to have a meal at the same table with her. But now, I didn't care anymore. She was Ava's friend, not mine. "Olivia, it's not his fault. I forgot that he's allergic to pollen. He almost choked to death just now," Ava surprisingly explained for me. After sitting down, she called the waiter to order the soup base, a completely spicy red soup base. She also thoughtfully added, "No coriander." William smiled triumphantly. "Ava is still considerate of me. She knows I don't eat coriander." I smiled and said to the waiter, "Please serve me a small pot separately, a clear soup one." "Thank you." Ava was a bit surprised. It seemed that she finally remembered that I couldn't eat spicy food, and a trace of guilt flashed in her eyes. "Yes, your Ava is only considerate of you. That's nice." I had held this sentence in my heart for a long time. No one expected that I would be so sarcastic. Ava changed the subject with a sullen face, and her friends all looked at me with disdain. As if I was still that James who was unreasonable and liked to be jealous. I slowly ate the boiled dishes in my own small pot. The liveliness of the others had nothing to do with me. They were chatting enthusiastically around the completely spicy red pot. Suddenly, William frowned and said, "Ah, I thought this was a beef ball. Why is it a fish ball?" As he said that, he casually fed the half-bitten fish ball to Ava. It was as if they had done this countless times before, naturally. Ava was a bit nervous, and the others also looked at me spontaneously. Her best friend had a gloating and nosy expression on her face and poked the person next to her. As if to say, "Look, this guy is going to start making a scene again." The others were on high alert, and some even reached out to hold the table. They were afraid that I would overturn the table and make a big scene. I slowly swallowed the boiled mutton in my mouth and said in confusion, "Eat." "Why are you all looking at me?" William asked me triumphantly. "James, has Ava ever eaten something you don't like this?" Once, because of a stomachache, I gave Ava an apple that I had taken a few bites of, and she threw it into the trash can in disgust. She wouldn't even take a second sip of the beer that I had drunk. "No, so she really likes you a lot." I sighed, put down my chopsticks, and said seriously, "How about I step aside and you two get together?" The scene suddenly fell silent, and Ava's face turned very ugly. She spat out the fish ball in her mouth and wiped her mouth. "William was just joking. Don't take it seriously." "But I'm not joking. This is my birthday wish." I shrugged and said word by word with a smile, "I wish you two a childhood sweetheart relationship, a love stronger than gold. Stay together forever." My birthday party ended unhappily like this. This time it wasn't my fault. It was Ava who overturned the table herself. When William heard that I was willing to let them be together, he sarcastically thanked me. But he didn't expect to anger Ava, and she scolded him head-on. "How old are you? Don't you know how to behave? Do you really want to drive a wedge between me and James to be happy?" William's eyes were red and he didn't know what to do. The others began to persuade Ava. "What he said is not wrong either. Originally, you and William are a better match. William is much better than him." Her best friend shouted the loudest. "Ava, you yourself often say that you don't like James always controlling you and making you feel suffocated. Why are you like this now that he's willing to let go?" "Shut up." Ava's eyes were red, and she trembled all over and screamed. "I regarded you as my close friends, but none of you wish me well. Do you really want to break me and James apart? Get out. All of you get out." She picked up the cup on the table and threw it to the ground. The others helped William and left. They also didn't expect that Ava, who had always disliked me, suddenly seemed like a different person. I was also a bit confused. "James, I know you've been angry with me recently. It's my fault. I didn't go to visit your aunt with you, but I said I would accompany you to go again. Can you stop being angry?" She reached out her hand, wanting to touch my face. Today, for the first time in 3 years, she chose me in front of everyone. It was also the first time she yelled at William and scolded her friends for me. It turned out that she also knew how to make me feel secure and happy. Once, every time she watched coldly and let them mock and laugh at me, as long as I got angry, she would say indifferently, "It's just a joke. Why are you so narrow-minded?" Then she let me swallow all the bitterness and digest it alone. Until I healed myself and then eagerly tried to please her again. I once fantasized that one day I would be very important to her, and she would protect me regardless of everything. But unexpectedly, when this day really came, I didn't feel happy at all. Instead, I felt tired and bothered. I reached out my hand and pushed her away. "Ava, I've already decided to break up with you. I wanted to tell you this when I came back this time, and I finally got the chance just now. That's it. It's been really tiring to be caught in the middle of you two. I'm stepping back and letting you be together." I stood up and walked outside. A pair of hands hugged me tightly from behind. "James, I know you're just saying angry words. You're mad at me for not standing up for you earlier, but now I understand. I promise you that I won't have a cold war with you anymore. Let's be honest with each other when we have problems and try our best to solve them, okay?" This was the first time she had taken the initiative to reflect. If it had been before, I would have been very pleased and touched. But now, I just found it troublesome. I don't want to try to get along with her anymore. I have more important things to do. I'm not saying it out of anger, Ava. I'm serious. This is the most serious decision I've made in the past half-month. No, you're lying to me. I don't believe it. I pried her hands away, turned around to look at her, and spoke in a calm tone. Let me go, Ava. This is the end of us. Take good care of yourself in the future. You can also be with William. You can go to him whenever you want, or even go abroad with him. There won't be anyone stopping you anymore. Ava was trembling all over, biting her lips tightly, and was about to say something when her phone rang. "Ava, come to the hospital quickly. William has been in a car accident." She was stunned, and a trace of panic flashed across her face. I smiled and urged her, "Go and check on him. Aren't you always very concerned about him?" Ava bit her lip. In the end, she didn't hesitate. She picked up her coat and rushed out. Before she left her last words. "Wait for me to come home, James. I'll make everything clear today, and I'll keep my distance from him in the future." Looking at her departing back, I said softly, "There won't be a future, Ava." When I got home, I started packing my things. We had lived together for 3 years, but I had very few things of my own. Because I liked buying things for Ava and thought that as a man, I didn't need too many clothes. Soon, I packed all my things into boxes. I found a photo in the corner of the bookshelf. It was a commemorative photo that Ava and I took 2 years ago. My thoughts were instantly pulled back to the past. That year, I lost my mother just after graduating, and I became completely decadent and downcast. I could have repaid and supported her through my hard work, but we were separated by life and death. Amidst my blurred tears, a sharp honking sound came. The next second, something hit my chest, and the inertia made me take a few steps back and sit on the ground. The fragrance of osmanthus wafted into my arms, soft and warm. "If you want to die, don't harm others. Get lost." The driver of the large vehicle rolled down the window, spat, and drove away. The person in my arms angrily retorted, "It's clearly you who were driving too fast." Then, she turned around and looked at me worriedly, "Are you okay?" It was a plain but beautiful face. Just like that, I got to know Ava. After she heard about my experience, she felt sorry for me. She held my hand tightly and encouraged me, saying, "I'm the same as you. No, I'm even worse off. I lost my parents when I was young, so I understand how you feel. If you don't mind, let me be your friend and family, okay?" Her eyes were like the bright moon in the sky, shining into my heart. From that day on, we became good friends who could talk about anything. We would always communicate with each other during our busy work hours and also go out for dinner together after work. Until the night of Ava's 22nd birthday, she seemed particularly sad. She asked me to treat her to dinner, and she drank a lot of wine. When I sent her home, in the corridor, the voice-activated lights suddenly went out. Ava threw herself into my arms, and her breath was hot. "James, be my boyfriend, okay? Didn't you say that you don't have a family anymore? Let me be your family, okay?" In the darkness, the delicate fragrance of osmanthus filled the air, and I heard my heart beating faster and faster. Before I could answer, something soft had already pressed against my lips, and she murmured with a sob. That night, I didn't go home. After Ava and I became a couple, she asked me to cancel the apartment I rented and move into her place. For the first 6 months, we were very sweet. Later, perhaps the passion faded, and Ava started to become impatient with me. On the contrary, I became more and more clingy to her, always following her and pampering her. Even when we quarreled, it was always me who apologized first. Until William added me on WeChat through a mutual friend and introduced himself as Ava's childhood friend, her so-called younger brother. At first, I didn't think there was anything wrong. Later, I found that Ava started to leave me on various holidays to go abroad to see another person, and that person was William. Looking at his WeChat moments full of show-off posts, I started to question Ava and even quarreled with her. Every time, she would tell me impatiently, "He and I are just friends. I treat him like a younger brother. If there was really something between us, it wouldn't be your turn." Perhaps to appease me, she took me to Disneyland. It was also on that day that we took this photo. Holding hands and sitting on the carousel, Ava shouted to me, "James, don't be angry anymore. Ava will always love James." Suddenly, fireworks burst in the sky behind us, and I was so touched that I shouted back to her, "Okay. I'm not angry. James will always love Ava too." In the past, every time I saw this photo, I couldn't help but shed tears. But now, I just felt that things had changed and people were no longer the same. I gently tore the photo in half. I stuffed the half that belonged to me into the box. I put Ava's half on the desk. "Goodbye, Ava." I closed the door, dragged the suitcase, and left the home where I had lived for 3 years without looking back. It was already 11 p.m. when Ava got home. After opening the door, she found that the house was pitch black. The man who would always leave the light on waiting for her was gone. She suddenly felt a bit flustered and rushed into each room to look for him. But she found that all his things were gone. In a state of confusion, she saw the torn half of the photo on the desk. She held it in her hand and nervously tried to call James, only to find that my phone was turned off. It was already 5 a.m. when the plane landed in Haishur. The moment I turned on my phone, a series of missed call reminders and dozens of messages popped up. James, where have you gone? I've already made it clear to William. Don't come to me for his matters in the future. I won't see him again. Trust me. Come back. We promise to be each other's family. Don't break your promise. I didn't reply to her anymore. Once, when she left me to go to William, my protests only got me scolded. William is all alone abroad and is very pitiful. As his childhood friend, I should go and take care of him. Can you stop being so narrow-minded? We have a long future ahead of us. What's the hurry? Now that she knew there was no future for us, she finally panicked. But it was too late. My work in Haishur was very busy and fulfilling. I had to meet many business partners and go to many places every day. During this period, I didn't think about Ava anymore. A former colleague called me and told me that a woman had come to look for me and asked when I would be back. I told him to ignore her and continue to focus on my work. A month later, I finally secured a cooperation, laying the foundation for the branch company in Haishur. The boss was very happy and asked me to go back for a celebration. It was already 7 p.m. when I got off the plane. Ava was standing next to the colleague who came to pick me up. After not seeing her for a month, she seemed to have become much more haggard. Her eye sockets were dark, and she had lost her former haughty demeanor. I frowned and asked my colleague, "Why did you bring her here?" My colleague smiled helplessly and whispered, "She goes to the company to look for you every day. She looks so pitiful, so I told her you were coming back today." "Honey, stop being angry. Come home with me, okay?" Ava looked at me pleadingly. This was the first time she had called me honey. When I tried to call her wife before, she coldly mocked me, saying, "It's not a done deal yet. I don't like it when you call me that." Now, she was being so proactive. My colleague suddenly understood and said, "So this is the sister-in-law we haven't met in 3 years. Hello, sister-in-law." I coldly corrected Ava, "First of all, we've been broken up for a month. Please don't call me that. Secondly, why are you here looking for me instead of staying with William?" My colleague finally sensed that something was wrong and smiled awkwardly at me, saying, "James, the boss, and the others are already waiting for you at the restaurant. Let's hurry over there." I nodded, stopped looking at Ava, put my luggage away, and got into my colleague's car. At the dinner party, everyone was very enthusiastic. The boss even praised my recent contributions in public and announced a salary increase for me. I was very happy. While clinking glasses and drinking, I had quite a bit of red wine. It was already 11:30 p.m. when the dinner party ended. It was a bit chilly in the early autumn of Jing City. The wind blew off the leaves, which landed on the shoulders of the person in front of me. It was Ava. She actually followed me all the way here and had been waiting for me for more than 3 hours. My colleague called me to go back, but she said something to him in a pleading tone and dragged my luggage to her car. "You've all been drinking. Let me give you a ride." I wanted to refuse, but she spoke first. "James, can't we even be friends after breaking up?" Looking at her red nose from the cold, I was at a loss for words. I had been cold and indifferent to her for a whole month, but now she was the clingy one. It's really pathetic. She didn't cherish me when we were together, and now she's starting to regret it after we broke up. It's too late. I pursed my lips, walked around to the back seat door, and was about to get in. Ava grabbed me and looked at me pleadingly. "Sit in the passenger seat, okay?" After I got into the passenger seat, I found that there were many things missing. Once, the area around the passenger seat was filled with William's things. Every time he came back from abroad, he would always leave some things in Ava's car. Instead of throwing them away, Ava would still keep them in their original places. There were perfume, men's hand cream, and a pillow with William's photo on it. I had a big argument with her because of this. I wanted to throw all these things away, but Ava sneered and said, "How dare you? They're just some things that don't take up much space. Why do you care so much?" As if she knew what I was looking at, Ava said softly, "I've thrown all those things away." I smiled and didn't say anything. So she knew what those things meant and that they weren't without impact. She could have thrown them away earlier, but she had to wait until the last moment. I didn't care at all now. I felt a bit carsick on the way. Maybe it was also because of the alcohol. I opened the window to get some fresh air. Ava handed me a thermos cup with one hand and took out a blister pack of medicine from it. I knew you couldn't hold your liquor well. Take this quickly. It will make you feel better. The moment the hot water went down my throat, I felt a bit emotional. This was the first time she had taken the initiative to take care of me. If it had been before, she would just pinch her nose and keep away from me when I was drunk, and even scold me. Who told you to drink? You deserve to feel bad. If it had been before, I would have been very happy if she had been willing to take care of me like this. On New Year's Eve last year, William called her and said he was drunk and feeling terrible. Ava left me to go to him and even took the only hangover medicine at home with her. I felt bitter inside. Looking at the lights in thousands of households, I got drunk alone. It was a long time after the New Year's bell rang that Ava came back. Looking at me who had vomited all over the floor while being drunk, she only showed disgust. William only comes back during the spring festival. What's wrong with me going to accompany him? You have to make things difficult for me like this. She only had endless accusations towards me and didn't even mention buying me hangover medicine. Now it seemed that all of a sudden, our roles had been reversed. The clingy and caring one was no longer me, but Ava. Sorry. She sneezed and suddenly said while holding the steering wheel, I didn't know until today that the feeling of waiting is so hard. Once, I was the one waiting for someone. She always took everyone out to have fun when William came back from abroad. But I really didn't get along with her friends, and I didn't like it when William always provoked me. Once at a dinner table, everyone was reminiscing about the past. In their sentimentality, they talked about the old stories of Ava and William. I felt really uncomfortable listening to it and made an excuse to go out for some fresh air. It was snowing heavily outside. I sat on a bench for over half an hour, and Ava didn't even come out to take a look at me. It was only when it was time to pay the bill at the end that she realized I hadn't come back. By then, I had been sitting outside for over an hour. The wind carried the snowflakes onto my hair and clothes, and they slowly melted. When she saw me sitting outside, I was already soaked through. Are you crazy? Sitting here without saying a word. You're nuts. This was the only comment she had for me. There was no concern, only scolding. Sorry. I was in the wrong before, making you sit outside in the snow and even get a fever. It seemed that she also thought of this incident, and Ava apologized in a low voice. It's okay. It's all in the past. By the way, I didn't make you wait for me today. You're just being crazy. My tone was cold, and Ava froze for a moment. I was just returning the words she had said to me before. The boomerang hit her instead. We were silent all the way. After Ava dropped me off downstairs at the hotel, just as she was about to say something, a figure flashed out. It was William. Ava, you're really here. He still had that sunny, handsome, and cute look. His eyes were red, and he looked wronged. Ava was a bit flustered and explained to me, I didn't call him here. I don't know either. I shrugged, well, you don't need to explain to me. I'm going up now. William's shouting came from behind me, don't you know how to be polite? Ava gave you a ride back, and you can't even say thank you? I didn't look back. This was what she owed me. In fact, she owed me a lot. If anyone should say thank you, it should be Ava thanking me. After taking a comfortable hot shower, I quickly fell asleep. The next morning, I went downstairs to have breakfast and then went back to the company. A little after 9 o'clock, William called. He told me that Ava had a severe cold, had a fever all night, and was in the hospital. I replied indifferently, so what? What does it have to do with me? She was the one who volunteered to give me a ride. It's not like I owe her anything. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Ava's coughing sound came through, and her voice was filled with despair. James, do you really not care about me anymore? I immediately understood that this was on purpose by William. It's just a cold and a fever. I also got caught in the rain and had a fever on the 3rd anniversary of my mother's passing. Didn't I get through it all by myself? You're an adult. Don't be so melodramatic. Ava fell silent. It was a long time before she said softly, sorry. She should understand that if she hadn't stood me up that day, I wouldn't have gotten sick from being in the rain. William shouted beside her, see? You're sick, and he keeps saying he loves you. Why doesn't he care about you at all now? Why are you apologizing to him? The two of them started arguing, but I felt a bit annoyed. Ava, since there's someone by your side to take care of you, I'll hang up now. Don't come to me if there's nothing wrong in the future. William shouted at the other end, don't worry. I'll take good care of Ava. I hung up the phone. This time I came back was just for a short work report. 2 days later, I went back to Heischer. A few hours before going back to Heischer, my colleague told me that Ava had come to look for me again. Seeing me glaring at him, he shrank his neck. Sorry, James. She really pestered me so much that I couldn't refuse. I only told her that you were leaving this afternoon. You'd better make things clear to her earlier about the rest. I sighed and nodded. It was time to make things clear to Ava and make her give up completely. When I went out, I saw her sitting on the sofa in the lobby, still holding a drip bottle in one hand. She came to look for me before the drip had even finished. Ava was even more haggard than a few days ago. She had lost a lot of weight all over. James, I know how wrong I've been all this time. So I told William yesterday to stop coming to me. I also told those friends yesterday that I'm cutting off all contact with them. If it weren't for them always fanning the flames, you and I wouldn't have ended up like this. Her eyes were red with tears, and her lips were pale and chapped. I shook my head. No, you still don't understand. The main responsibility for us ending up like this lies with you. She was a bit stunned, and her eyes were filled with pain and confusion. They could hurt me only because of your tacit approval, right? I sighed. Ava, from beginning to end, the only one who could hurt me was you. Because I loved you so much and cared about you, they could hurt me at will because of their relationship with you. But every time, you stood on their side. You never protected me, nor did you stand with me. Ava spoke with difficulty, her voice hoarse. So, is that why you're disappointed in me and want to break up with me? I shook my head. These are just the straws that broke the camel's back. Her face turned pale, and she murmured, I know. I've been reflecting on myself for over a month. In these 3 years we were together, I took advantage of your love and tolerance for me and kept challenging your bottom line. I thought you would never leave me. I was wrong. I shouldn't have hurt you again and broken my promises to you. I've been to your aunt's grave. I was startled and looked at her. I went to visit her several times while you were in Haishur. At her grave, I repented and also promised her that I will treat you well in the future and never let you down or make you sad again. James, for the sake of your aunt, can you give me one last chance? Ava looked at me pitifully, her eyes full of pleading. I smiled softly and shook my head. It's too late, Ava. You see, you know where you didn't do well and can reflect on it. But you were never willing to. Every time I was on the verge of breaking down and arguing, instead of comforting me, you accused me, saying that I was narrow-minded, and then gave me the cold shoulder. In the end, you just took my love for granted. You don't love me that much. You only love yourself and everything you like. Right. Ava doesn't love you at all. William rushed over. He sneered at me and said, Don't you want to know why Ava suddenly confessed to you 3 years ago and asked you to be her boyfriend? All the color drained from Ava's face, and she shouted sternly, Shut up. However, it was already too late. Because I was with someone else on Christmas Day that year. After we made our relationship public, she was so heartbroken that she got drunk and confessed to you. After all, the person she likes is me. Being with you was just to make me jealous. So that's how it was. I finally understood why all their friends had treated me coldly in the past 3 years. It turned out that when Ava was with me, she just saw me as a tool. No. Don't listen to his nonsense. I love you. James, I'm really in love with you, that's why I'm with you. Ava got up and tried to pounce on me, but she fell to the ground. The needle came off, and her handbag turned purple and blue, with blood seeping out. But she didn't care anymore. I admit that the person I liked before I met you was William. But after being with you, your kindness to me deeply touched me. From that time on, I had already unconsciously fallen in love with you. Trust me, James. Please trust me. I gently shook my head. It doesn't matter anymore, Ava. Because I don't love you anymore. Over the past 3 years, you have erased my love bit by bit with your own hands. Breaking up is the best outcome for us. Ava crawled towards me crying, but William picked her up and carried her out of the hall. As we passed each other, she reached out her hand in a panic and cried, James, don't abandon me, okay? I turned around and stopped looking at her. Ava, I'm fine and deserve someone better. You don't deserve me. Behind me, her heart-wrenching cries gradually faded away. After flying back to Haishur, I threw myself into my work. The branch company was finally successfully established, and I was appointed as the new general manager by the boss. It was autumn again. I returned to Jing City and went to my mother's grave to offer incense. Mom, it's the 4th anniversary of your passing this year. I'm sorry, I broke my promise again and can only come to see you alone. But don't worry, I'm doing well and happier than in the past few years. On the tombstone, my mother's smile was very kind, as if she was saying, That's good. It didn't rain today. The sun shone with golden light, enveloping my mother and me. It was very warm. My phone rang. It was a call from a friend. He said that something had happened to Ava. It turned out that since she was forcefully carried back by William that day, she had been in low spirits. She refused to cooperate with the doctor's treatment and take her medicine, and she didn't even eat properly. She was depressed all day long, and her health quickly deteriorated. William also gave up going abroad and focused on taking care of her. But today, for some unknown reason, she suddenly had an episode and insisted on being discharged from the hospital to offer incense and burn paper for my mother. William refused, and the two had an argument in the hospital. You've been broken up with James for almost a year. Wake up. What right and position do you have to offer incense to his mother? William roared. Ava didn't care and still wanted to come. Slap. William slapped her across the face. His mother wouldn't want to see you either. Didn't you abandon their mother and son to pick me up a year ago? Do you think they would forgive you? Ava was stunned by the slap, or perhaps by these words. She stopped making a fuss and let William help her back to the hospital bed. Then, while he turned around to get medicine for her, she grabbed the fruit knife beside her and stabbed him in the back. William turned around and looked at her in disbelief. She raised the knife and stabbed him in the throat again. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could I have ended up like this with him? I told you to talk. I told you to talk. William was stabbed several times by her and lay on the floor making gurgling sounds. By the time the doctor arrived, it was already too late. Ava was arrested on the charge of intentional homicide. I heard that she was taken for a psychiatric test, and the results showed that she had severe depression and bipolar disorder. She was relieved of the murder charge, but she would have to spend the rest of her life in a mental hospital. None of the friends she had broken off relations with went to visit her. After hearing all this, my heart remained calm. I stood up, looked at the setting sun that was about to go down the mountain, and patted the dirt behind me. She chose all of this herself, and it has nothing to do with me anymore. I have long forgotten why I was hurt in the first place. There will be someone worthy of my love waiting for me ahead.